Welcome to the second of our World Cup previews. Today we're on to Group C, where Ivory Coast will field a host of Premier League stars. And Group D, can England overcome Italy and Uruguay, or Costa Rica for that matter? With me to talk through the dynamics is betting analyst Nigel Seeley. Nigel, let's start with Group C. Ivory Coast, some big names in the likes of Drogba and Toure. They threatened to do something for years but never quite delivered, even an African Nations Cup. How do you rate them?
I think they'll qualify. I don't think they'll qualify as group winners, but I think they will qualify. I think they've got goals in them. I think they're strong at the back, and I think the physical presence they have will be a massive advantage, especially over the Japanese in these hot conditions. So I fancy them to qualify. I wouldn't be rushing back down to 4-1. And I think that the years have gone by when we said African nations teams will go win a World Cup soon. I think they've gone backwards. Other nations have gone forward. The African team seems to have taken a step backwards. They haven't got a good crop of young players coming through. It's all about the ageing team. Drogba's swan song, wants to play in the World Cup again, wants to score goals again. He will score goals in this group. I think that their physical strength will see them through to the last 16, but I think that's where the journey ends.
OK, well, talking about the rest of the group then, Colombia, they've lost their star striker and talisman Radamel Falcao to injury. How much will that hurt their chances?
I don't think that'll hurt them at all. I think they're a real talented bunch of players. They've got a guy called Jackson Martinez who plays for Porto, who've done exceptionally well domestically and in Europe. He's got an unbelievable strike rate this season. I think he's scored something like 47 goals in 55 appearances. He hasn't got a good international strike rate, and the reason why is because Falcao's played ahead of him all the time. I think this is his time to shine. I really do like the Colombians to go well in this competition. This is an interesting one because however England do, we'll be playing the runner-up or the winner in this group. So I really hope we don't play Colombia. So for that reason, I would rather not do well, but I think they'll win it. And I think at the odds-on quotes, they're one of the best bets at the group stages to win this group, and not only this group, in the whole of the group stages. They are a real strong team, and they've been handed a perfect draw. OK, well, that's interesting because Japan are a team that I know you fancy for the future. Have they solved their goal-scoring issues? And that certainly dogged them in the past few tournaments. Yeah, they've scoring goals. I mean, they're solid at the back. I mean, they've got a good build of the unit of a side, but they've played an awful lot of football coming into it. The amount of fixtures they've played, a lot of travelling for them. I just think it's going to come down. I think Colombia will win every game. I really do. And it just comes down to a one-off match, I fancy, between Japan and Ivory Coast. And I just think the extra physical presence that Ivory Coast have and the strength in the soaring temperatures, I think that will help them ahead of the Japanese. I think they would seem to follow for the next World Cup or maybe World Cups after. That's a long way before they're going to win it, but they can certainly get through to the quarter-final stages. This time around, not for me. OK, and what about Greece then? An experienced team in many ways, but can you really see them getting out of the group? Absolutely no chance. I'm staggered that they're 8-1 to win the group. I'd give you 25-1 to win the group. They've got absolutely no chance. I can't even see them scoring, let alone win it. Their style of play is all built around defence and not frustrating other teams. You can't do that in these kind of temperatures. If you're just back to the wall all the time, constant pressure, you're going to fold. They bored our way to winning the Euros a few years ago, and I think they're going to be the boring team in this competition. They changed it a little around in the last European Championship. They were involved in a lot of high-scoring games, but in this group, I really can't see them scoring. They start off against Colombia. That could be 3 or 4-0 easy, and it goes downhill from there.
So it's Colombia and Ivory Coast or Japan? I'm
going to go for Colombia odds on. Keep an eye out for Jackson Martinez. I think he's going to be a star. They've got another couple of real decent playmakers in midfield. As a runner-up, I'm going to go for Ivory Coast just because in the one-off game against Japan, I think they're going to be too physically imposing in the opener. That may be a draw, and I think it may come down to who beats Greece the most, and the fact that Ivory Coast played them last is a huge advantage for them. OK, let's get to the one that we've all been waiting for, England's group, Group D, of course. A young side, no expectations. Can they spring a surprise, or would it even be a surprise if they got out of the group? Well, you're saying no expectations. The Union Jacks are starting to be put up all around the suburbia, and I come in for the train. Pavarotti's being played out of every single household. World Emotion.
That's not good because that's Italian.
World Emotion's coming out of the cars. People are starting to believe we can do well again, and that's a bad sign. The one thing about him is that I was very impressed and very pleased with the squad he's chosen. Now the thing he's got to do is play the right 11. And with the right 11, I mean Adam Lallana has to play. I think that you've got to go for Sterling with pace in this heat. I think he'd be a revelation. And you've got to go for Sturridge up front. I mean, he's the informed striker. You know the first game against Italy, he won't do any of those things. He's going to set the stall out not to lose. That's the banker 0-0 of the tournament. We'll see the next of Milner playing, probably even play a striker. But how I see England progressing is I think they'll play very poor in the first game. I think it'll be a 0-0 draw. The second game against Uruguay, I think we get beat. And then the third game, we play the team that we want to win and go out and we probably win 3-0, which eases us through. And the fact that we play Costa Rica last, when they could have lost both their games, is a huge bonus for England. I think we'll qualify. I think we'll finish runners-up in the group, and then I think we'll play obviously Colombia, and I think that'll be a tricky game for them. But all England tournaments start off slow, and we get better as we go through. I can see us putting on a gallant display. I do think we get out of the group, though.
OK, Italy. Pirlo, the key man, but he is another 2 years older than in Euro 2012. Also been some injuries. I mean, they're always a force at some stage, aren't they?
Well, I knew you were going to say that, because it's the biggest cliche that everyone says.
Okay, it's a cliche, but it stands up, doesn't it?
It's not really, Nigel, because the last World Cup they played in, they finished bottom of the group that consisted of New Zealand, Paraguay. I mean, they're not as good as we're led to believe. They do well. They got to the finals, the semi-finals of the European Championship, the final of the European Championship last time out. But their World Cup, they won. Okay, they won, but their recent record in World Cup hasn't been that great. They were really poor. The big blow for them is their old side, their aging. Domestically, Serie A is getting better and better. It's going back to how good it was before. All the players playing the Serie A. But the biggest blow for them is they've lost Montalivo, which is a huge, huge blow for them. Balotelli will be a threat. But the fact they play England first, and they're both slow starters, I don't think that helps the Italians. I think the Italians would much rather play England last. Both teams in that game will go for a draw. I think both teams will get beat by Uruguay, and it's whoever beats Costa Rica by the most. And in World Cups, when you play a side that have lost 2 games, they don't put anything up in the third game. And that's what England have got there. They could go into a Costa Rica match where they've been beaten twice and know exactly how many goals to win they need to win by. And I just don't think the Italians can do it. I'm staggered that they're favourites to win the group. Staggered.
So you obviously fancy Uruguay. Much hope always expecting on Luis Suarez's knee, whether he recovers from surgery. But they've got a few other star names, the likes of Edison Cavani, amongst others.
Well, Cavani's a different class. Diego Forlan, look at his record in goal scoring. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's coming towards the twilight of his career, but it'll probably be his last tournament. But if he comes off the bench, he's always got a goal in him. And they've got a centre-half in Galdin, the centre-half from Atletico Madrid, who's been the best defender in world football this year. I mean, Atletico Madrid won the domestic league and got to the final of the Champions League. And he scored in both the games. He scored in the winner against Barcelona, and he scored in the Champions League final. He's a rock, absolute rock. And they're strong in all departments. I think at 33-1 to win the competition, they're a great bet as well. People say about their record in World Cups, where they've won it 30, but they finished semi-finalists in the last one. They're solid, they're better, they're confident. And again, going back to this so important thing, the conditions, they're the team who will love it. I think they win the group in a canter. I think they win every game.
So Costa Rica actually are the key.
Well, Costa Rica are massive, because if I think Costa Rica will lose both games. If they lose both games 2-0, 3-0, then they go into the game against England with nothing to play for, putting out the reserve side, and England will know on that game, if we can beat Costa Rica by 3 or 4, we'll go through. And I can see England's path in this competition very similar to what we did in Mexico 1986, where we had a very poor start and then we needed to beat Poland by 3 goals. Lineker gets the hat-trick. And I think you'll play the right team for that game, the young guns, go for it. We'll score loads of goals and we'll keep that team going forward. And I think the biggest flop for England this year will be Wayne Rooney. He's never scored in the World Cups. I think he'll start off in the team, but by the end of the competition, I think we'll be playing with Lallana and Sturridge.
OK, so Uruguay and England, as far as you're concerned.
I'm going for Uruguay to win the group, England to come second, and Italy to bomb out yet again. And no more cliches on the Italians. OK, I promise. That's it for this episode. My thanks to Nigel Seeley. Do check out all the other groups available on demand and regular updates as the tournament progresses. I'm Nigel Stevenson. This is Reuters.